How's it going, everybody? It's Warren. Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder, where we talk all things Marvel and, of course, Spider-Man No Way Home. And today we have an insane plot leak, one that actually sounds pretty legitimate, but one that also makes me pretty mad, and I think will make a lot of fans mad as well if this actually happens in the movie, and if you stick around to the end, you'll see why. And I do have an update on that Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. But first, big congrats to Gabe Vlogs for winning the Stormbreaker giveaway. He's been contacted and it's on his way to him, but I have a new giveaway starting very soon that I'll announce hopefully this week. It's one that I think you guys will really like. So be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. So let's first talk real quick about the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer and when to expect it, because I got a little bit more information over the past couple of days. For starters, I actually talked to a local manager at my local theater, and he confirmed that they do have it. I also talked to some other people that I won't mention by name, but they have some pretty big contacts, and they have confirmed with these contacts, yes, the first teaser trailer is indeed finished and has been distributed to theaters. Now, as far as when it's going to drop, I couldn't get an actual release date, but it sounds like it could happen any day within the next 2 weeks. From what I understand, they really only send the trailers out when they're good to go and about to release to the public. So we are very close, and as always, if I hear anything else, I'll be sure to update everybody. And now we'll start with this plot leak, which again sounds really good, but I don't know if I want it. And after you hear the plot leak, you'll all have to let me know what you think about it in the comments down below so I can kind of feel the vibe for it. But it sounds very legitimate, and of course, as the teaser comes out and some people have actually seen it, we get more and more leaks, so it could be very legitimate. So let's dive right in. It says, Peter is on the run after the identity reveal in Spider-Man Far From Home. Ned and MJ are with him since they're accomplices to his crimes. And accomplices and crimes are both in quotes. It then says that Doctor Strange, at Happy's request, finds them in a homeless shelter undercover, where he brings them back to the Sanctum and tells them to lay low while he figures out a way to fix everything. There's actually a story in the comic line where Doctor Strange, Mr. Fantastic, and Iron Man actually help erase the memory of Spider-Man/Peter Parker from everybody in the world. So Doctor Strange could definitely figure out a way to fix this whole identity crisis. But then it goes on to say, in the Sanctum, Peter comes across a sort of bigger on the inside prison where Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and Sandman from the Raimi universe, and the Lizard and Electro from the Amazing Spider-Man universe are being held. Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin manages to trick Peter into thinking that their universe's Spider-Man were corrupt and killed them, and tells them that Peter needs to release them so they can save their own universes. So Peter ends up freeing them and they escape into the city. It then says that Doctor Strange then shows up and tears Peter a new one. He explains that he had been holding them in this prison due to the instability in the multiverse connected to each dimension's Oscorp experimenting with interdimensional travel, and he says that Peter has a responsibility now to stop them. Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin leads the villains to the MCU Oscorp building to try and steal prototype interdimensional technology. Peter tries to stop them, but he gets his butt kicked and thrown aside. Strange ends up rescuing him and says that they're going to need more help, and Strange and Peter travel into the Raimiverse and into the Amazing Spider-Man universe, and we see how the Peters are living after the conclusion of their series. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is married to MJ, and they have a daughter. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is now a college professor. And I would personally really love to see this. I would really love to see Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man with MJ having a kid living a somewhat normal life, and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man as a professor. I would love to see both of these, and I really hope this happens, especially since we were going to get a fourth Tobey Maguire Sam Raimi Spider-Man and never did. The plot leak goes on to say, through their connection to their home universes, the villains sense that their Spider-Men are likely on their way. They use the Oscorp device to open a one-way portal into the Amazing Spider-Man universe, with the Amazing Spider-Man Rhino barging through. The Sinister Six are Goblin, Ock, Sandman, the Lizard, Electro, and the Rhino. Willem Dafoe's Osborn realizes the way to open two-way portals and thus get back to their own universes is to power the Osborn device with a Stark power core. The Green Goblin ends up getting this device while the other Sinister Six distract the Spider-Man, allowing him time to get it from Stark Industries. The Sinister Six go to battle with all 3 Spider-Men at the Statue of Liberty. The Green Goblin plans on using the Statue of Liberty to open portals back to their own worlds and to trap the Spider-Man here, so they can no longer interfere with their plans in their own respective universes. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is beaten way harder than the other, younger Spider-Man and ends up dying after the battle. And this is where I start to get kind of really mad and upset because I definitely don't want this to happen, but I'll talk about it more at the end. Norman Osborn's Green Goblin finally shows up at the end with the device and Ned. Norman Osborn activates the device, but they manage to stop him and protect Ned in a 2v1 fight with him. But the Green Goblin manages to miss the 2 Spider-Man with a pumpkin bomb and ends up killing Ned. Another part that I get really mad about. Tom Holland's Spider-Man nearly kills the Green Goblin, but Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man stops him from becoming a villain like them. The Sinister Six get locked back up in Strange's prison, and Tom Holland's Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man attend Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man's funeral in the Raimi universe, and then seemingly part ways. Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the MCU ends up turning himself in, but he ends up being successfully defended from murder charges by his lawyer, Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil. However, his secret identity issue is not resolved as everybody still knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. One of the final scenes is of Tom Holland's Spider-Man going up to Ned's grave and talks about how he feels responsible for his death. It's at this point that Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man shows back up in his universe, and he gives the responsibility talk to Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Tom Holland's Spidey realizes that Ned, like Uncle Ben, Tony Stark, and Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker, would want him to still be a hero. It then says that the final swing is of both Tom and Andrew's Spider-Man in the streets of the MCU, New York. Now, this plot leak overall sounds pretty cool. I like how everything is incorporated with the other 2 universes. I like the fact that the multiverse is already kind of falling apart, and Strange has already been doing his job kind of protecting the entire multiverse by locking up some of the villains. Now, Norman Osborn is a genius, and if anybody, as far as villains are concerned, are going to know how to open up these portals, it's going to be him. At least anybody that the MCU is prepared to introduce. This also follows other leaks that we've heard before that primarily involve around the Green Goblin being the main villain, which at this point in time many different reliable insiders have reported to be true. In fact, last week Daniel RPK backed up the fact again that the Green Goblin is the main villain. And if you consider the fact that Multiverse of Madness is coming right after this, it would make sense that the madness would begin in Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, I actually really like this plot leak, but the only part I hate about it is the fact that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man would die. This is something that I just don't want to happen. He's my personal favorite Spider-Man, and I would hate to see him die on screen, especially if you just showed him being married to MJ and having a daughter. Now, it does make sense that he would be a little bit out of shape compared to the other 2 younger Spider-Man, but I would really hate for him to die, and I think it would be a shame. The same thing goes for Ned. I don't hate Ned dying as much as I hate Tobey dying, because it wouldn't be the first time that Spider-Man in a movie lost a true best friend. Tobey lost Harry, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man lost Gwen. It would make sense that there is a loss for Tom Holland's Peter Parker in the film. However, is it necessary? That's kind of my only real question about this. I think it could add to the future movies, but I think we'll have to see how it's executed. But overall, this plot leak actually sounds pretty good. Now, of course, take it with a grain of salt as always, but if the whole thing isn't true, I definitely think that there are parts of this that are for sure true. But let me know what you think about this, and specifically let me know how you would feel if Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man died in Spider-Man No Way Home and Ned. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. Don't forget to like the video, and for live updates, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.